You ever see one of those AI videos pop up on your feed and just think, how? That's got to be magic, right? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to strip away all the hype and give you the real deal basics on how you can turn your ideas into motion, step by step. Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, just look at this. This ridiculously slick car ad. It wasn't made with a big camera crew or some super expensive software. Nope, it was generated with just count 'em, two screenshots from Google Street View, and, of course, the right words. What used to take a whole production team hours can now be done in minutes. It's kind of wild.
And that, of course, leads us to the big question, right? If there's no camera and it's not the animation we're used to, how on earth is this even possible? How does the magic actually work?
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to show you that AI is definitely not magic by revealing the engine that makes it all run. Then, we'll walk through the actual workflow creators are using. We'll learn how to talk to these tools, figure out which ones are right for you, and finally, we'll talk about how to use all this new power wisely.
All right, first up, AI is not magic. I know, it really feels like it sometimes. But I promise, underneath all that complexity is a concept that's surprisingly simple. Let's break it down.
At its absolute core, AI is just tech that helps computers do things that usually require a human brain. You know, stuff like learning from experience and getting really, really good at spotting and then recreating patterns. That's pretty much the whole shebang.
To get a feel for how it learns, let's think about a super simple example. Say you've got two dots on a graph. One represents a company's number of stores, and the other its revenue. Well, you can just draw a straight line between them to guess what the revenue might be for a new company with a different number of stores. That little line? That's a very, very basic predictive model.
Okay, now take that simple little line and scale it up. Way up. A modern AI is basically doing the same thing, but instead of a straight line and two dots, it's drawing an unbelievably complex shape. You could call it a big fancy equation that's been perfectly fit to trillions of data points scraped from all over the internet. That right there, that's the engine.
So we have this massively powerful engine, but how do we actually use it to make something cool? Okay, let's get practical and dive into the creator workflow. We'll see how you can go from just a spark of an idea to a finished video.
Most of the really effective AI video workflows boil down to this three-step process. It's a chain reaction. You start with your idea and use a language model to flesh it out. Then you create your still image with an image model. And finally, you make it move with a video model. Idea, visual, motion.
So that first step uses something called a large language model, or LLM. You've heard of tools like ChatGPT, right? That's one. Think of it as your creative translator. You can feed it a messy, half-baked idea, and it'll help you refine it into a super clear, detailed description that the next tool in the chain will understand perfectly.
Next up, you take that beautifully detailed description and you plug it into an image model. This is an AI that does one thing, and does it really well. It creates still images. You can kind of think of these different models as different camera lenses. Each one has its own vibe and style, from crazy realistic to something that looks like anime.
And this is where it all comes together. The final step is the video model. This is your animator. It takes that static image you just made and it literally breathes life into it. It adds the camera pans, makes things in the scene move, and all the other animations that turn a still picture into an actual moving one.
So, we've got the workflow down. But to get anything good out of it, you have to communicate clearly. And this is where we have to learn to speak the AI's language. It's all about the art of the prompt.
This whole skill is actually called prompt engineering, and it really comes down to one single golden rule. The quality of what you put in directly impacts the quality of what you get out. It's that classic saying, right? Garbage in, garbage out. The better you can describe your vision, the better the final result's going to be.
And just look at the difference here. The before prompt is, okay, it's fine, Toyota RAV4 driving fast. But look at the after prompt, which has been beefed up by an LLM. It's packed with professional lingo, photorealistic panning shot, at sunset, shallow depth of field. All those little details are like crystal clear instructions for the AI, and you get a way, way better result because of it.
And check out this absolutely killer pro tip from Martin LeBlanc. He says that adding motion blur to your source image, the still picture, isn't just to make it look cool. It's actually a command. It's how you whisper directions to the video model, telling it how to start moving from the very first frame. It's so smart.
All right, so you get the concepts, you get the workflow, but where do you actually, do all this?
Let's take a quick look at the different kinds of platforms out there so you know where to start.
You've basically got three main flavors of these platforms. First are the model-native ones, like Midjourney or Runway. They use their own special in-house AI, so they're usually pretty simple and reliable. Then, you've got multi-model platforms. These are great because they give you a whole buffet of different models to play with under just one subscription. And finally, for the real power users, there are control platforms. These use these visual, flowchart-style interfaces for super complex stuff.
So what's the takeaway? If you're just dipping your toes in, my recommendation is to start with one of the multi-model platforms. For sure. They just let you experiment with a huge range of different styles and tools without having to sign up and pay for a dozen different services. It's the best way to explore.
We have covered a lot, but with all this insane power right at our fingertips, there is one last really crucial thing we need to talk about, and that's the responsibility we all have to create something with substance, not just more slop.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? On one hand, these tools can make your work look incredibly professional in no time flat. But on the other hand, if you're not careful, they can spit out generic, low-effort junk, what the internet has started calling AI slop. The real challenge for creators now is to use these tools with intention. Focus on a story, really dial in your prompts, add that human touch, not just mash the generate button and hope for the best.
So there you have it. We've looked under the hood at the engine, we've walked through the step-by-step process, and we've learned a bit of the language. The technology isn't magic anymore. It's a method. It's a brand new tool in the creative toolbox. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?